అందరికీ నమస్కారం. నా పేరు సాయి శ్రీనివాస్ రెడ్డి భూమిరెడ్డి. ఈరోజు ఆటా వాళ్ళు వెబినార్ అనేది హోస్ట్ చేస్తున్నారు. సో గత 2 రోజులుగా మనం ఈ కొత్త ప్రొక్లమేషన్ రావడం వల్ల కొంచెం చాలా కన్ఫ్యూజింగ్గా ఉండిపోవడం జరిగింది. సో దీన్ని అంతా క్లియర్ చేయడానికి ఈరోజు మనకు అటార్నీస్తో అలానే ఈ ఆటా వాళ్ళు ఒక చిన్న వెబినార్ అనేది ఆర్గనైజ్ చేస్తున్నారు. సో ఐ హంబ్లీ రిక్వెస్ట్ జేఎన్ చెల్లా గారు టు టేక్ దిస్ ప్లీజ్ and to introduce the attorneys here. And before that, ఈ వెబినార్ లో జరిగే కాన్వర్జేషన్ అంతా ఓన్లీ ఫర్ ద ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ అండ్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ పర్పస్ ఓన్లీ, అండ్ దిస్ డస్ నాట్ కన్స్టిట్యూట్ ఎనీ లీగల్ అడ్వైస్. సో మీకు ఏదన్నా కానీ అకార్డింగ్ టు ద ఇండివిజువల్ క్వశ్చన్స్ మీరు తప్పకుండా క్వాలిఫైడ్ ఇమిగ్రేషన్ అటార్నీతో మీరు మాట్లాడి దాని తర్వాతనే డెసిషన్స్ తీసుకోవడం చాలా మంచిదని ఈ సందర్భంగా చెప్తున్నాను. సో ఐ రిక్వెస్ట్ ద జేఎన్ చెల్లా టు టేక్ దిస్ టైం.
నమస్తే అండి, నేను జయంత్ చెల్లా, అమెరికన్ తెలుగు అసోసియేషన్ ఆటా ప్రెసిడెంట్. అందరికీ మీరు ఎక్కడి నుండి ఫోన్ చేస్తున్నా, ఇండియాలో ఉన్నా అమెరికాలో ఉన్నా అందరికీ గ్రీటింగ్స్ అండ్ హ్యాపీ సాటర్డే. సో ఈరోజు మనకు ఐ నో yesterday evening President Trump has signed a legislation or a proclamation, on increasing the H1-B fee and also on the prevailing wages, couple of things. So it's a very shocking, confusing, concerning issue. So ATA is a 35-year-old organization and it's always in the forefront of the community. So any issues that impact community, we are always there to address that, clarify that and help the community. So are they, in the same approach? Today we are conducting this webinar to answer and clarify any questions related to the proclamation that was signed by President Trump yesterday. So daniki manaku iddaru very popular attorneys unnaru. One is Santosh Somreddy. He is the founding partner of Somreddy Law Firm. His core areas of practice are legal, include immigration, employment litigation, corporate and criminal law matters. And he has represented many employers and employees alike. His firm is actually based out of Virginia, but he has offices all around the world, India and across the US. We also have with us Prashant Reddy Garu. Prashant Reddy is a lawyer and attorney. And from the law offices of Prashant Reddy. She is a University of Pennsylvania, very popular law school graduate. She has been practicing immigration since 1997. She is admitted to the bar in New York and is part of the member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. With that, without further ado, I request attorneys Santosh Somreddy Garu and Prashant Reddy Garu to come and provide your remarks and give us some clarity. Thank you. Can we?
Namaskaram andi. Thank you for the introduction, Jayanti Garu, and thank you ATA for arranging this session. We would like to make it as informational as possible so that it helps everyone, all the Telugu community in the US and abroad. So, under the so President Trump has signed a proclamation order, so stating that anyone who is currently outside the US, okay, cannot enter into the US on H1-B, right? This only applies to H1-B visa holders right now. సో ఏంటి అంటే H1-B వీసా హోల్డర్స్ ఎవరైతే యూఎస్కి రావాలనుకుంటున్నారో ఇప్పుడు వాళ్ళ ఎంప్లాయర్స్ తప్పకుండా 100,000 కట్టాలి అని చెప్పేసి కొత్త ప్రొక్లమేషన్ ఆర్డర్ పెట్టాడు. సో కానీ దీనికి దేర్ ఆర్ సర్టన్ ఎగ్జామ్షన్స్ ఆల్సో అవైలబుల్ విచ్ వీ కెన్ గో త్రూ ఇట్ ఇన్ మోర్ డీటెయిల్ డ్యూరింగ్ దిస్ సెషన్. Prashant, you want to add any more things to it before? Prashant, you're on mute. ఓకే, సో ఈ ప్రొక్లమేషన్ ఆర్డర్ ఏదైతే ఉందో ఇట్ స్టార్ట్స్ ఫ్రమ్ టునైట్. ఈ రోజు మిడ్ నైట్ నుంచి స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది అండ్ దిస్ ఇస్ ఎక్స్పెక్టెడ్ టు లాస్ట్. యా వి కెన్ హియర్ యు నౌ. యు వాంట్ టు కంటిన్యూ ఆర్ షుడ్
Yeah. So
Okay.
thanks, Santosh. Thank you, Arta. Thank you, Jay Garu, for inviting me at such short notice. And hello, everyone. Yes, we've had yet another bombshell with reference to immigration law, in addition to other things. But right now, we're focusing on this. The proclamation, as Santosh rightly said, the 12:01 a.m. September 21st ki start outundi. It'll expire in 12 months. Just a few pointers I'm giving you. The proclamation targets entry of H1-B workers into the US who are currently outside the US. And the basis that they're using is 212F, and we can discuss further as to what 212F is and on what basis they are trying to achieve this. Restriction, as Santosh rightly pointed out, is on entry. So entry of H1B workers who are presently not in the country. So that means it does not impact those who are presently in the country. But it could impact those who leave the country and try to re-enter. So if you are on a H1, you're traveling for business or for pleasure, and you are trying to come back, it's possible that it could impact. And that's a controversy there. And we will discuss further about that because there's a lot to discuss. And there's a lot of speculation on who it applies to. And that's, I think, one of the main reasons that there is speculation. USCIS shall not adjudicate any petitions unless they're accompanied by proof of this 100,000 fee. So that means if you want to come into the country, if you're outside and it's a new H1, then you have to pay 100,000 fee every year to come into the US. This fee can be collected by the Department of State or by CBP, and they'll give us further information as to how they're going to collect it, who's going to collect it, etc., etc. And as I said, extensions of stay will not be impacted, at least as of now, unless they decide to later on. So change of employer, so F1 to H1 will not be affected, H4 to H1 will not be affected. Amended petitions will not be affected, extensions will not be affected. And the other point that we have to notice that it's for a period of 1 year, but they're going to revisit it again in March of 2026. While Malli Tani revisit Cheshi, they will look into the pros and cons of it and see, what so far the advantages and disadvantages have been. And they may decide to either continue it or they may decide to remove it. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Incotent ante, they want to make sure that people don't use B visas in order to come in and then file a change of status to a H1. So this basically what they're trying to do is preventing new people from filing H1Bs. So if people are able to circumvent that by coming on a B first and then converting to a change of status, because change of status applications are allowed even for CAP petitions. They're trying to prevent that as well. Also, what we saw in this particular proclamation is that the Secretary of State has been given instructions to initiate rulemaking to revise the prevailing wage levels. That means that they want to increase the prevailing wage levels. So those of you who may be happy that you're not affected because you're an F1 and you might have a better chance of getting picked in the cap because now, other people are not being picked, may not be so because the wages may increase.
Yeah. So as Prashanti has mentioned, right? So right now, as it stands, it does not affect people who are currently in the US, right? This proclamation order by itself. But yes, they are thinking about raising the H1B wage levels. As of now, we don't have a pure direction on how they will be implementing this one or when they will be implementing the wage levels. But right now, what really matters is people being able, like the H1B visa holders being able to enter into the US. Ingot India, a few hours back, there's been a notification even on Fox News stating that it applies only to new visa holders, right? So అక్కడ కూడా కన్ఫ్యూజన్ ఉంది ఏంటి అంటే ఒకవేళ నిజంగా న్యూ వీసా హోల్డర్స్ అయితే then they could have just issued the proclamation order banning issuance of new visas, right? They should not have mentioned about entry. They could have just said, hey, we'll not be issuing any more new visas అని. లేదు న్యూ క్యాప్ హెచ్వన్స్ అన్నారు అనుకోండి, న్యూ క్యాప్ హెచ్వన్స్ won't even going to picture, not even coming to picture until next year, right? So it అప్పటిలోపట 8 months అయిపోతుంది. So it is not clear whether how they will be implementing these regulations. So we have to wait and see. We will have a better idea maybe in the next 8 hours because chala mandi this is going to go into effect midnight today, right? So ఎవరైతే మిడ్ నైట్ తర్వాత వస్తారో వాళ్ళని ఎట్లా స్క్రీన్ చేస్తారో చూడాలి. దాన్ని బట్టి విల్ గెట్ ఎ మోర్ పిక్చర్. ఇంకోటి ఏంటంటే ఇట్ ఎఫెక్ట్స్ మోర్ ఐటీ ఇండస్ట్రీ, పీపుల్ హూ ఆర్ అండ్ వర్కింగ్ ఇన్ ఐటీ ఇండస్ట్రీ దెన్ ఎనీ అదర్ ఇండస్ట్రీ. ఎందుకంటే బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ది ప్రొక్లమేషన్ there are more number of unemployment, there's more number of unemployment in IT industry, right? When compared to other industries where high skilled workers could be utilized. So this will be a blow for a lot of IT professionals who are trying to come into the country for the first time, and also this could also affect people who are actually traveling outside the US and who have held H1-B status before. So we have to wait and watch. And ingoti endante my assumption is people who are getting paid less, they have a less chance of getting entry into the country, or and people who work in IT industry, they also have a little lesser chance. కాకపోతే వేరే ఇండస్ట్రీలో వర్క్ చేసేవాళ్ళు, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ డాక్టర్సే కానీ, నర్సెసే కానీ, మేబీ సివిల్ ఇంజనీర్స్ ఆర్ బయోటెక్ ఫీల్డ్లో ఉన్న వాళ్ళు కానీ, క్లీన్ ఎనర్జీలో వర్క్ చేసే వాళ్ళు కానీ, ఇఫ్ దే కెన్ షో దట్ దేర్ work is of national importance, then they maybe would easily get a waiver. So ఎవరైతే ఇండియా స్టక్ అయిన వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారో they should look at they should not definitely consider about filing a waiver with the Department of State.
So, Sandhu sir, so I'd like to ask you a question. So, what are the fields so that usually comes under the waiver?
దీనికి ఈ వేవర్కి ఏదైతే ఉందో దే నాట్ ప్రొవైడ్ ఎనీ ప్రొసీజర్స్, రైట్? సో మీరు చెప్పినట్టుగా ఓకే, సో ది $100,000 ఫీజ్ ఇస్ వాట్ ఐఎమ్ రెఫరింగ్ టు. ఓకే, దట్ ఈస్ ఫర్ ది ఎంట్రీ, right? And that too, they are saying that it's per year, which is weird, right? I can understand if they say 100,000 per H1B, but now they are speaking about 100,000 per H1B per year, right? And I don't know if there is any employer who will be willing to pay $100,000 per year for each H1B.
Yeah.
Prashant, you want to add something to it?
Yeah, and that the whole problem with the fees also, Santosh, is that the fact that they're increasing the fees, and that's one litigation vulnerability that really we can exploit maybe as lawyers. The fact that they're increasing the fees, it's like an unauthorized tax, so they can't really do that because that kind of thing is delegated to DHS. DHS is supposed to increase immigration fees, and it's not within the scope of the president to do that via proclamation. So that might be one avenue whereby people can litigate. We can also talk about again the fee with reference to the separation of powers also. So Congress has the power to increase or levy a fee or a tax, and again a proclamation or the president cannot do that. And also, if you look at the commerce clause with reference to litigation, that can help as well, because that's also, you can argue it's outside, the scope of the presidential powers. And the funny thing is that there's no severability clause here, meaning their whole law is based only on this 100,000 tax. So if the 100,000 tax is struck down by courts, then there's nothing else. There's no other leg for this law to stand up on. So even whoever wrote it, I think didn't do a very good job, but that might not be needed. Let's see how it holds up with any litigation.
Can we go to Vijay actually, because I think since he has done a lot of this immigration litigation work, maybe Vijay, can we bring Vijay online? Vijay, Vijay, why do you think that the president has used a proclamation stuff and an executive order, and how does it differ, like between how do they play into picture, like executive order versus proclamation, and what are the clauses that they are using to come up with this one, and how can we defend this in the court?
Sure. So I think what Prashanti mentioned is fairly accurate there. But the difference between an executive order and a proclamation generally is the authority, right? The executive order is designed to instruct the executive branch to act a certain way. A proclamation is a presidential decision. Sometimes it has weight, so it has to have some statutory authority behind it in order for it to be enforceable. Here, I think the president's relying on 8 U.S. Code Section 1182, which allows the president to impose any restrictions on entry of individuals if it's detrimental to the interests of the United States, right? So that's what he's using to argue. Where I think he's going to have a tough time enforcing that is it doesn't. So there's a Supreme Court ruling a few years back, Trump versus Hawaii, where the Supreme Court has specifically stated that if the president wants to use this, he has general authority to use this section, but this section cannot supersede INA, Immigration and Nationality Act, right? That is exclusive power of Congress. And within INA, Congress has the authority to impose fees and determine fees. And this is substantially higher than any of the fees that Congress has ever imposed. And I think that's where we can attack this proclamation, because he's way outside of the scope of his authority. And Congress has not given him any further authority to rule on this or make a determination or an order, which is what he did in this scenario. So I think that's where we're able to fight it.
Yeah.
So are you trying to say that we have to this has to be decided on the merits of the case, or is there a way for us to get an injunction?
I'm sure there's going to be injunctions. I think we as a firm are also looking to file an injunction shortly, but I'm sure there's already ones in the works, and I haven't seen any filings go through today, but I anticipate by the end of the day today or tomorrow, there probably are. We just need, so it's going to go back to the birthright citizenship kind of case as well, where Supreme Court's probably going to say that you can't have a nationwide ban, but you could potentially have a class action lawsuit, right? So I think that may be the way this might go, or individually filed as well.
So before,
And also, Santosh, I was just, we were discussing an hour ago about all the earlier bans that he had and how they went through and what happened. So just to tell everyone, this is not the first time that he's had a travel ban. For those of you who remember, in January of 2017, he had the Muslim ban, and it was quickly, of course, it was challenged in court and then blocked at first. But then there was a revised Muslim ban in March of 2017. And then finally, as you were mentioning earlier, Trump versus Hawaii, the court held very narrowly 5-4 ruling that the president has broad immigration authority over immigration. So that was one time that he did it. And then in 2020, again, we saw this travel ban. They expanded the travel ban and added, a bunch of more countries, 6 more countries to it. And then they targeted immigrant visas. And then during COVID-19, they restricted entry from a lot of countries, China, Europe, Brazil, South Africa, India, etc. And they suspended many categories, especially including non-immigrant visa categories such as H, J, L, and they mainly cited labor concerns. But lucky for us, in January 2021, Biden issued a proclamation rescinding the Muslim ban as well as the travel bans. And, since COVID went away, those travel bans went away as well. And at that time, it was somewhat understandable because it was COVID and no one was traveling. But now, because of the high tax that is being imposed, 100,000 tax. So if you're in a H1 for 6 years, it's 600,000. I think the courts will have to look at it differently from what they did earlier. So let's, I guess, wait and see.
Yeah.
So before we get into
the issue here, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Santosh. And before we go into the details of litigation prospects, can we provide who is safe, who is not? For example, any person on H1-B visa here in the United States, are they safe? Will they be impacted by this? If anybody wants to adjudicate their visa from F1 to H1 or from some other visa to H1 in the US, are they impacted by this visa? Third, if somebody is in India on travel, but they are currently H1B holders, are they okay to come back, or do they need to pay fee? And first time, obviously, it looks like first time somebody is coming to the country on H1B, they have to pay the fee. So can you just give us that clarification, please?
Okay. So first thing ఏంటంటే people who are currently in the US and apply on H1B on H1B, they will be only affected by the fact that the H1B wages could go up, right? So when they're filing for an extension or an amendment, they may have to be getting paid higher wage compared to what they're getting right now. But it should not restrict them from applying for a change of employer or a change of status or filing for an amendment. So people who are currently in the US, they are say on the safer side, except for the fact that the H1B wages are going to go up.
Okay.
మీరు అడిగిన సెకండ్ క్వశ్చన్ కి పీపుల్ హు ఆర్ ఆల్రెడీ ఇన్ ఫ్లైట్ రైట్ దేర్ అంటే వాళ్ళకి కొంచెం కష్టమయ్యే ఛాన్స్ ఉంది బికాస్ ఎస్పెషల్లీ ఇఫ్ దే డోంట్ ల్యాండ్ బిఫోర్ మిడ్ నైట్ టుడే ఇట్ కుడ్ బి ఏ ఛాలెంజ్ రైట్ ఐఎమ్ అఫ్రైడ్ దట్ దే మే బి పుట్ ఇన్ డిపోర్టేషన్ అన్లెస్ దే కెన్ సమ్హౌ షో దట్ దే fall into one of these other categories which are of national interest, or if their employer is willing to pay 100,000. But again, this is something new and we don't know how they will be implementing this. We have to wait for another 8 hours to see what exactly is going to happen.
Okay.
So I guess, Santosh, to answer that question and to just expand on what you said, I think the controversy here is there's no controversy about whether people who are in the US on H1 are affected or not. We know that they're not affected. No controversy about that, except for the wages, as you said, and we'll see how that plays out. But there is a and there is no controversy about whether when a person is on H1, never been on a H1 before, is in India presently, for example, and wants to file a new H1 through the CAP, will they be affected or not? Yes, they will be affected. That is also no controversy about that. The only issue that we are not sure about is if a person is visiting the US, number one, is visiting the US and wants to go back and is traveling back after, visiting, and they did not go for a visa or stamping or anything, will they be allowed to come back or will they have to pay the 100,000? So there's a huge controversy about this because it's not been written well, the proclamation. It talks about entry, talks about 214F, which is basically a travel ban. A travel ban then will apply to everyone, right? It does not carve out an exception for people who have left the country and are visiting and coming back. Maybe there will be an exception carved out and there'll be more explanation about whether these people are included in this proclamation. But as of now, we are speculating that most probably they are included based on how the proclamation is presently written. And also there is, the proclamation talks about prospective employers. So when we say prospective employers, some people might think that prospective employers are only those employers who are filing H1 for the first time. That is not necessarily true. Even in a case of an extension, it is still a prospective employer. Could be because you're filing a H1 based on new terms and conditions that will be applicable to that employee for the coming 3 years or the 1 year or whatever time you're filing the H1 for. So in that situation, even that person can be called, that employer can be called a prospective employer. So any H1B employer is called a prospective employer. So that's why we're wondering whether it's, applicable to people who are outside the country and just visiting, or who it's applicable to, right? So this is something that we are still trying to get further clarification on. Santosh, you want to add to that?
Yeah, especially we may have, but like I think we may have to monitor people who are entering through Doha, through Abu Dhabi, right? Wherein because there we will get to know whether they have been able to get through the port of entry. Especially, I don't know if there are any flights at this point of time, but Yeah, typically if they that's why we have been waiting to see some news regarding that one. So if we see that there have been mass deportations or anything like that from Doha, then it's a red flag, right?
Yeah, we know
So
what it means. So that
yeah,
unfortunately we have to go through
we
that
just
to know
waiting
what this
on.
proclamation means.
Yes. And there is all sort of false news out there because even like Fox News, they quoting something saying that hey, we received information from a senior White House professional, right? But they don't mention the name,
Yeah,
right? Even Times of
exactly.
India, nobody mentions name as to their source, like who's regarding their source. So I think we just have to wait and see for maybe next few hours. Yeah. And if anyone knows of one of their friends or family members who are traveling through Doha, then please update us so that we'll know better. We'll have a better idea as to who is getting affected and when.
Prashanti ma'am, I have one question from the audience, which is related to the topic. So, for example, if a person is on the F1 visa and he has applied for the change of status to the H1-B right now, which is in the pending, does this proclamation applies to him or not?
Well, it depends if the person is outside the country and is seeking to come back after his H1B is approved on a H1. Because if it's a cap case, most probably it's approved will be for a start date of October 1st. So if the person is leaving and trying to get a visa and come back on a H1, then yes, it affects them. So in that instance, if the person is able to continue to be on an F1 and if the F1 has not yet expired, then I would suggest they don't go for visa stamping right now and they just try to come back on their F1. And then, later on, they can figure out, what to do. Either file a change of status again or, go for a visa later on once the dust settles. So it really depends on whether they're in the country or outside the country and whether they're continuing to be on F1 status and if they have a valid F1 visa or not.
No, for example, if
they
they're
are in the
within the
country,
United States, can they
It's
have?
actually,
Sorry?
I'm sorry.
if
No,
they are
if
in
they
the
are
country,
within the,
So if they're in the country, it should not affect the proclamation
It
order
will
should
not
not.
affect them. It will
Yeah.
not affect people who are in the country. It only affects you if you're outside the country. And if you're on F1 outside the country, again, it doesn't affect you. It only affects people who are coming in on a H1.
Yeah. So
and what about the L1 visas? Does this apply
Sorry?
to them? L1 visas?
Sorry. F1 visas, yes. It doesn't affect F1 visas or getting an F1 visa. It only affects getting a H1B visa at this point in time.
Okay.
So if the person has actually filed for a change of status, I'm assuming that they are presently in the US. In that case, the proclamation should not affect them. But if they want to go for stamping, then yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Sorry, were
think
you
we have
asking
more
about
than
L1 visas?
Yes,
Santosh.
sir.
I think we
Okay.
have more than 1,000, 2,000
Yeah.
questions.
We
I
should
think
go quickly and do rapid fire.
Okay.
yeah.
Let's do rapid fire.
Okay. So
So it
can
does not
can I
affect
start?
L1 visa holders as of now.
Okay. So can we take the question from the audience, sir? Yeah. Can we take the question from the audience?
Yeah.
Okay. And the first question is to the attorney Prashanti. I'm in the India, so came for the H1B stamping. They completed the stamping and gave the flight by the next week. So do I need to travel right now or not?
I suggest that you don't travel right now. Wait for a window of opportunity. If there is a TRO, and hopefully there's one, maybe you sneak in while the TRO is in effect and before something else happens. But buy a ticket and keep it ready so that you can travel at a moment's notice.
So this to attorney Santosh. Hi Santosh, will this affect present H1B holders who are in the United States right now, or will this affect if we want to renewal our H1B visas?
It will not affect those who are currently in the US. It will affect them for the H1B visa renewals only with respect to their wages. Right? It will not have it's not like their case will be denied. It's only that they have to get paid a little more higher wage.
Okay. And so the next question to the Attorney Prashanti. And so I have a valid visa expiring in the month November 2026. I have a travel plan to India in another 6 weeks, planning to stay in India for 10 days and return to the United States. So will this impact me to pay 100K? Kindly advise.
Yes, it might. My strong suggestion, until we know for sure, do not travel.
Okay. And so to the Attorney Vijay.
Yes.
And is there any possibility and so where the corporation is going to file a case on this issue right now?
Yeah, I think there certainly is. So I anticipate a lot of the corporations, the bigger ones, have 5,000, 6,000, or 10,000 employees that are on H1. They certainly are going to be filing something, and we're also looking to find a plaintiff to file that. So if you know of anyone that's been denied because of this, let us know, and we'll be happy to look into it and see if we can file it. As Prashanti has just mentioned, we anticipate a TRO probably coming in the next few days. So if not that, feel free to reach out to us and we'll work on filing that for you.
And can I know who has the standing in this case? Like, for example, is the H1-B holders or the corporate?
I think, without looking further into it, I think both parties would have standing, because obviously this would affect the employers as they're not able to bring those employees here. And certainly the employees are going to be harmed, right? So there's certainly a party that does have standing.
Okay, thank you. And to the Attorney Santosh, how does this affect physicians? We are the physicians working in underserved area as a waiver.
Yeah.
So, but I want to know how
I don't think it affects them. I don't think it affects them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so to the Attorney Santosh, I'm in India now for my vacation. My visa is valid until April 2027. I have not come for any stamping. I just came for the visiting of my parents. Was stamped in the month of November 2024. I was in the United States since 2024. What should I do now?
I recommend that you wait for a few days until the dust settles. Okay, we don't want you to travel right now until we know for sure that you don't fall under the proclamation, or until there's a temporary restraining order. So for now, just hold off and do not travel.
Okay. And to the Attorney Prashanti, is there any impact on the H4 individuals with a valid stamping on India right now, and they wanted to come to the United States?
Right, that has been another question as to whether there'll be an impact for H4s, and that's a good question. But since they have not specifically mentioned it in the proclamation, I would say no, unless they decided to add it later or carve it in later. As of now, there is no such, it's not in the proclamation that H4s will be affected.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to add one thing to this one, because this is a very important thing. So what happens if a H4 individual is currently present in the US, but the H1B individual has traveled to India and is stuck, right? So if H1B individual, like H4 visa is intended to accompany the H1B visa holder, and if the H4 visa holder is currently in the US, whereas the H1B visa holder is in India and stuck, then there is a good chance that USCIS will deny the person's H4 extension.
Okay. And so there is one more.
We could also argue, Santosh, that if it is a short period of time, then H4 doesn't automatically.
Yeah, I know, but proclamation is speaking about 12 months, right? At least 12 months.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
then if they leave and they're coming back, then forget it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're right.
And also we have had a RFE years ago wherein the H1B individual was outside the US for over a period of 4 to 5 months, while the H4 individual was in the US, and USCIS came back and said that, hey, she was violating her status because the H4 visa was intended to accompany the H1B individual, but that's not what was happening in this case. So you got to be cautious with that too.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, I would like to read out one important announcement made by the White House right now. To be clear, so it was quoted, to be clear, this is not an annual fee. It is a one-time fee that applies only to the petition. those who are already on the H1B visas and are currently outside of the country right now will not be charged 100K to re-enter. H1B visa holders can leave and re-enter the country to the same extent as they normally would, whatever ability they have to do. That is not impacted by the yesterday's proclamation. This applies only to the new visas, not renewals, and not current visa holders. It will first apply in the next upcoming lottery cycle.
Good.
Yeah, so this just now we got an update.
Is this from White House
From White House
website?
or?
Yeah,
We want to
just from
make
the
sure the
White House.
source is correct. Yeah, very important to make sure what the
Yeah,
source is.
because if that is the case, then what is the reason of starting it now? Because they say like it expires in 12 months and the new cap doesn't even start until 12 months.
Maybe
Okay,
just check
so
the source. It may be. Yeah.
no, this is
I'm very curious.
yeah. No, this has
From
been
the press
updated by the Carolyn Leavitt, assistant to the president and 36 White House press secretary. So she has tweeted right now, just now.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not
That's
Can
seeing
you
good
see
then.
that? Can you please verify once?
I just shared it with you, Santosh.
Okay. 1 second.
This is
Caroline Levitt.
And it's just not about okay, it's one time okay. Those who already hold H1 visas are currently outside the United. Okay, it will be
Yeah, I see that people are tweeting. I hope this is, yeah, it seems to be, but the only
are
problem
they
is in the
new
right.
visas or new H1Bs? Okay, but
This is
again,
not an annual fee. It's a
apply
one-time
to
fee that
lottery
applies
cycle.
only to the
Okay,
petition.
so it does not.
Meaning
Yeah, it doesn't going to
Not
affect for 1 year.
600,000, 100,000, let's say. Those who already hold H1B visas and are currently outside the country now will not be charged 100,000 to re-enter. H1B visa holders can leave and re-enter. So basically they're saying if you already have a visa, you're not going for a visa, then you will not be impacted. So this is the visitor scenario that we were talking about. If you come for a visit to visit your family or whatever, and you're going back, you already have a visa, you're not applying for a new visa, then you will not be impacted. This is good news if this is correct. I still
Now,
take
is this
everything
a
at a
credible
pinch of
result?
salt because
Also,
there's
it
so much
says
news
that
coming.
it does not apply to renewals and not current visa holders. So if somebody had H1B visa before, and if they're going for stamping again, it doesn't apply to them. So it says that it applies in the next cap cycle only.
So yeah. So is this the trusted source?
Yeah. Yeah, this is from
So can you please
to the
confirm?
president. So
Only to
yeah,
new
it's a trusted
visas, not
source.
renewals and not current visa holders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and it does not go into effect until next year.
well.
But
Yeah,
then what does it mean by 21st? What is September 21st then?
Yeah. So
So
how?
September 20. Okay, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I just want to say these tweets, how legitimate they are. Not legitimacy in terms of
I want to wait and
implementation,
see.
right? Yeah.
Right.
Will this supersede what was signed by the president? This tweet is not a law, is not an order signed by the president, right? So are they going to have more clarification within the proclamation order, or this tweet by itself,
So
I guess, has no authority?
I think, Jay, the proclamation was not written very clearly. I think this is what they might have meant all along, but they didn't write it clearly. And now they're just clarifying as to what they actually meant.
Okay, good.
And from a litigation perspective, I think it certainly can be persuasive for us to use it in court if we have to, because it's coming directly from the press secretary.
Yeah.
Good point.
Because it shows
If
the
that is the
intent.
case, then I don't think we have to worry about any of this proclamation order because it doesn't come into picture until next cap.
I mean, we have to worry for next year, but
And,
immediately we may not
and
have
who knows,
to.
maybe the market will improve by then, and we will not be in the situation.
Or maybe
But-
somebody will file a court case. You guys will file a court case, and we'll be successful. And
Yeah. But I don't think we'll have a standing at this point of time, right? Because this doesn't go into effect anyways.
No,
So we may not be able to file anything.
You might have a standard for those people who want to file in the future because they have to. I mean, you can argue, right, that it will affect because I am filing it in March. March is 6 months away.
Yeah.
Aren't you sure that there'll be an effect because you intend to file? You have a job already, and you know.
just might
But
not be.
there's another issue here, Prashanti. So for example, they are saying that this is going to expire by end of next year. Next year, September 21st. Right.
Right.
So people, the H1B is going to kick in from October 1st. Right. So even if you don't pay the 100,000 fee, right, unless it gets extended, we don't have to worry about it any place. So
yeah,
I don't
because
know
but it might
file any
like
litigation
this,
at this point of time.
correct, but it might get extended. I mean that we have to presume that it will get extended.
It
Presume
doesn't
the
matter
worst.
whether they listen to this one, but I don't think anybody is going to travel to India.
This
That's
applies only to new business.
That is and that was the whole. That was the whole. I think that's what they wanted to achieve. They caused confusion and panic,
Yeah.
and that's what they have succeeded in achieving.
But
So it's interesting then that so visas. So if you're going to apply for an extension of your visa, just to reiterate, for those of you who didn't understand our discussion,
I
if
think
you're going to apply
let's
for an
continue.
extension, does it
let's
apply?
continue.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Knowing what we know, I think Sai, please go through the questions and let's continue this. And then when attorneys are answering the questions, they will have this in the back of their mind.
Yeah, for sure. And so the next question to the attorney Prashanti. I'm in the US holding H1B visa for the past 8 years, and the company is planning to file my renewal this month. So kindly confirm if this fees of the 100K still applies.
It doesn't apply to you because it doesn't apply to people who are in the country.
Okay. So can we travel to the different countries other than India on the H1B?
Well, right now it seems that you can because it only applies to people who are applying for a H1 for the first time and have not applied before and who are outside the country. So if you're already on a H1, then it doesn't apply to you. Based on this tweet, I have to add that caveat.
Yeah. And so attorney Santosh, does this proclamation apply to all the H1Bs? How does this affect the capped versus cap exempt H1Bs?
Okay, this does not apply to any person who is currently on H1B, right? It only applies to future H1Bs.
Okay.
Right? It doesn't matter whether that if somebody's on cap or cap exempt H1B right now, it doesn't apply to them. It will only apply for H1B petitions that will be filing starting next year, based on the suite.
Yeah. Does this apply to the non-profit H1Bs too?
Everybody.
Everybody. Okay.
When it goes into effect, it could apply to everyone unless they can show that their position is qualifies for national interest waiver.
Okay. So right now I'm in India and my visa appointment is on the September 20th.
Based on this one, they don't have any issues.
Okay. No. So please, I'm in India right now. My visa appointment is on the September 23rd. I have an approved petition when I was in the USA. Should I show the 100K payment proof during my interview?
No.
Okay.
You don't need to. So only for cases that will be filed in future, that will be filed after April 2026, and that too under cap, will be subject to this.
Okay. So can you please explain me what is the exact impact on the companies for the H1B extensions or transfers, and impact on the H1B holders of traveling H1B holders for stamping? Okay.
Yeah.
So how the company is going to affect it?
Well, the only effect would be that they will have to pay higher wages now in order to hire these H1B workers, right? Other than that, none of this proclamation order would not apply to those who are already on H1B visas, right? Okay. But in future, the companies will have to shell out more money in order to be able to hire a H1B worker, because then they'll have to pay $100,000 extra for every H1B they are planning to bring in. So there is another issue here. Prashanti, do you think they would ask for 100,000 because they're saying 100,000 once, right? Not every year. So is it like the cap, the employer who is filing a cap petition has to pay the 100,000 and then the next employers don't have to do anything, or what do you think? How do you think?
That's what it looks like. Maybe every 3-year term. So every time each term, maybe you pay 100,000. Or I don't know whether it'll be every 3 years or it'll be for just one time for 6 years, because there is definitely inconsistency in this tweet versus what they're saying now and what they said in the White House video, right?
Yeah,
Which was
they're selling
widely
every year, right?
shown, because they said in that video that it'll be 300,000, means 100,000 every year. They clearly said that, and so now they're basically backtracking, because there's nothing really that's in writing to say whether they were, what they said then is correct or what they're saying now is correct. I mean, I'm happy with this, of course, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying there seems to be a lot of confusion in or backtracking based on the reactions that they're getting with reference to what they intend to do now versus what they intended to do earlier, is what I feel. Or it could be just like, I don't know, difficult to explain, but yeah, I feel there is inconsistency in this tweet and what they said earlier, and also in what is written.
Okay.
I don't know
And
why
so
they
the question,
mentioned that this initial proclamation will end at the end of 1 year. By then,
Makes no
this doesn't
sense.
come to picture.
Yeah, but then why even have the proclamation for the 12
Yeah,
months? How is it useful for this 12 months?
yeah,
It is not useful unless they extend it. So how are they? So the idea was to have it go into effect, see how it's working, and then decide whether they want to renew it or not. But there is no chance of it going into effect, because they're
yeah,
pretty much saying we're going to decide whether it goes into effect or not after 12 months, even before it goes into effect.
yeah.
So I
yeah.
don't know.
And
That's
the
why I'm
question to the
saying we
attorney
need to wait to see. We need to wait, I think, to see what all this actually means, and not jump to any conclusions.
And also, if somebody is planning to file for an extension, please do it ASAP before the
Yeah.
wage levels goes up. Okay, I recommend that if at all possible, if you need to file an amendment to the extension, please do so. But try to file all extensions ASAP before the wages go up.
And so a question to the attorney, Santosh. So my H1-B is still on the pending. So can I go for the premium processing right now?
Yeah, they can go for premium processing. This proclamation
Okay.
has no effect on their case.
Okay, because they have been applied during the 2025 cycle, right?
Yeah, that is fine.
Okay. Yeah. Attorney Prashanti, I have a question to you. I'm a medical doctor who just got a J1 waiver. Am I allowed to travel to Canada for my brother's wedding in the October? Also, my I-94 expires on December 31st, 2025. Does this mean I have to exit the country before that?
So it doesn't affect J1s. So yes, you can travel, and it only affects H1s. So there's no question of whether it affects you or not. It doesn't. And obviously, if your status is expiring, you have to leave or file for an extension,
Yeah.
or file for a
So,
change of status or whatever. You can't stay without any status.
okay. And so does this proclamation impact existing H1B holders with a valid visa stamping who is on the Bahamas cruise closed loop trip?
Well, as per this tweet, it doesn't affect you. So enjoy your Bahamas cruise and see you back soon. But again, I will tell you 100% once I'm sure of it 100%.
Yeah. Attorney Santosh, how this is going to affect those on the I-140? So what does the annual fee mean since the permit is renewed once every 3 years?
Okay, so I'm assuming that this person is already on H1B in the US, so it will not affect them. It only
Okay.
goes into effect starting the next year cap. But my gut feeling says that it will probably affect even those who are currently on H1B if they travel outside the US after 2 years, right? And when they are trying to enter back, it might trigger. This proclamation might trigger get triggered in their case.
And so to the attorney Prashanti, is this impact who are on the EB2 EAD and advanced preload? Can they travel without any issue?
No issue with AP and EAD. In fact, if you're able to take, and that's another segue into that, if you because the visa bulletin in October, a lot of numbers have become current for EB1, EB2, and EB3. I would say if you're able to file your 485, please do. Of course you will, but please take EAD and AP as well. Don't depend on H1B. You've seen what's happening while being on a H1. I would say segueing to a 485, pending 485 with the EAD and AP is much safer in today's environment.
Okay. And so can you also please explain the people having the green card traveling abroad, are they being affected?
No. I mean, there have been some instances where green card holders have been stopped, but for political reasons, they have been. And another reason is if they've spent too much time outside the country and they're not able to show that they're maintaining residence in the US, then yes, they've been stopped in some instances. But other than that, I don't see an issue with permanent residents traveling. And certainly this proclamation doesn't affect it in any way.
Okay. And Attorney Santosh, how does this new rule impact the folks who go to the India for stamping, assuming that they've already got their I-979A when they're in the United States?
So it will not affect them. Those who already have H1B approvals, it will not affect them.
Okay. And so what's the impact on the adult kids of the L1 doing the graduation here in the United States and aspiring to get the job soon, as already working in the school to work for the premium companies? So do you want me to repeat that?
I'm kind of confused. Can you repeat once again?
Okay. So what is the impact on the adult kids of L1 doing the graduation here in the United States?
Okay. So they'll have the same issue. If they are trying to apply for H1B, they'll have to go through the same process and they'll also be subject to this proclamation.
Yeah. And so September 10th, my visa got stamped and received the passport. If I want to travel tomorrow, do I need to pay or my company need to pay
No.
100K?
No, you don't have to pay anything.
You don't have to pay.
Neither you nor your company has to pay anything. You can travel.
Okay. I'm on the
My
H1B with
recommendation is, if you are getting paid less, I recommend not to travel. Just not to travel outside the US. Right? Because now with all this going on, we never know. Maybe there will be a CBP officer who would just stop people who are getting paid less and then restrict them from entering into the US. So it's better to avoid travel outside the US as much as possible.
Okay. And so I'm on the H1B with the approved I-797, was planning to travel to in India for visa stamping along with my wife, HO, who is on HO. Due to this new rule, will the spouse can travel and get her visa stamped and return back?
Okay, so the spouse who's on H4 wants to travel and get a visa stamping, right?
Yeah.
Well, it is possible, but there have been situations wherein the visa officer would ask the H1B visa holder also to attend the visa interview. So they got to be prepared for that.
Okay. And Attorney Prashanti, and our H1B visa remains valid until 2028. We have booked our tickets to in India for a 1-month vacation in the month of November and require a visa stamp. Is it safe to travel?
It is safe to travel as per, again, this tweet, but I'm seeing a lot of messages which say that the tweet she's amended, the press secretary has pretty much amended the proclamation and is she allowed to do that? So I don't know, with this present administration, everything is a mess. So I would again wait and see, but as per the tweet, you can, because it clearly says, as per the press release, that you can travel. So that person should be able to travel without any issues.
Okay, I'm in India on the vacation. I hold a stamped visa till November 8th. Can I re-enter with my stamped visa today?
Yeah, because it's not yet November 8th. So the visa is valid as long as, the date is valid. So you can enter the country. The visa, remember, doesn't give you status. It's when you enter, it's the I-797 and the I-94 that gives you status when you enter into the US. So the visa can be used for the date that it's up to.
Yeah, and so to the Attorney Santosh, how about having an approved H1B valid until 2027 December and need to go for stamping? So can I do it right now?
Yeah, they can go for stamping now, but I recommend avoiding travel as much as possible. So if you don't have to travel, then don't travel. But there is no restriction, like this proclamation does not restrict you from going for visa stamping.
Okay. And my H1-B stamping has been completed. I'm planning to travel on September 25th. I opted for the consular process and I have 7 years of an experience with the same company on H4 EAD. Can you please let me know, is 100K fees applied to this scenario?
No, it doesn't apply. It
Okay,
does
it
not
doesn't
go
apply to
into
H4 EAD, right?
it does not go into picture. It doesn't apply for H4 EADs, or it doesn't go into picture until next year cap.
Okay. So, no, does this apply to the H4 EAD, the who have
No, it
been
doesn't
doing the
apply.
job?
It does not
It
apply to
doesn't
H4
apply.
EADs. No.
Okay. And I have my visa stamping, which is valid until April 2027. I'm planning to travel to India in the month of January 2026. Please suggest if the 100K fee still applies.
No, it will not apply to them.
Okay. And to the attorney Prashanti, my son, who is on the H4, just turned 16 in the month of August, is currently in India. Too little time to travel back. Would that be an issue if he travels later in the first week of October?
Can you repeat the first part of the
Okay.
question?
Okay. My son, who is on the H4, just turned 16 in the month of August, is currently in India. Too little time to travel. Would it be that issue if he travels later in the first week of in October?
It makes no difference. The proclamation has doesn't affect him in whatsoever way, so he can travel whenever he wants.
Okay. Can he
The
travel
normal
alone
rules
without the
apply, whatever the
H1B?
rules are.
Okay.
Sorry?
Can he travel alone without the principal H1B holder?
When he's 16, yes, he can. You can travel.
Okay.
He has a
So,
H4 visa, right? Yeah.
yeah, he does.
If he has a valid visa, yes, he doesn't have to travel with his parent. If he's 16, he can travel on his own also.
Okay. How does the new H1B guidelines impact the students on the STEM OPT visa if they change the status to the H1 in the coming years?
It doesn't affect F1 to H1 change of status applications. They've made that very clear right from the beginning.
Okay. And in the coming years?
Or in
It
the
does
coming
not
years, we
apply.
don't know.
Yes.
I wish I had a. Doesn't look good anyway. But one thing that it could affect the F1s to a great extent more than other people is the wage increase. If they increase the wage and say only level 2 and level 3 people can file for the lottery, and they take away the registration system and they put this wage system in place, which is a proposal, which is what they want to do. They are saying that only level 3 people can apply. That's a different bombshell that we might have to encounter. But then all entry-level positions, and F1s are obviously entry-level positions, so all entry-level positions will get affected and they'll be cancelled out of the lottery because they will not be allowed to apply. So that's something that we're hoping doesn't happen, but we are hearing that it might.
Okay. And to the question to the attorney Santosh, what are the implications on the OPT students? Can we travel to in India and come back in the month of December?
Yeah. Right now, this proclamation does not have an effect on the OPT students, so they can travel and come back.
Okay. So it doesn't matter, right? So they
No,
don't need to worry.
They don't need to worry about it.
Okay. So there is a new comment from the YouTube. And we have to travel on the next Friday with my family, have the visa stamped until 2026 April. What is your suggestion with the new tweet?
Well, you could travel. There's no issue. But personally speaking, I recommend that you avoid travel as much as possible, especially unless they're getting paid like high salaries. For example, if the H1B order is making more than 100K, I would not worry too much. But if they're making less amount, then yeah, I would be a little more cautious.
Okay. And so one more question. Is there any issue for one? Okay. So will this apply to the H1B extensions as well?
Well, the proclamation does not affect H1B extensions right now.
Okay. And to the attorney
But
Prashanti.
again, except for the purpose of wage levels, like wages. Now the wages are going to go up for the extension.
Yeah. And attorney Prashanti, if we go on a cruise trip to neighboring countries like the Mexico, would it still impact the entry to the United States?
No, I seem to be getting a lot of questions on cruises and vacations, but no, it doesn't. It doesn't impact. As I said before, please enjoy your cruise and come back refreshed. It won't affect you. Hopefully, I mean, again, I keep saying based on this tweet, because I still want to wait until Monday at least to make sure that this is legit before I say it. But based on the tweet, it should not impact you.
I think the timing was right.
Yeah, just when we were having this
Right?
conference, they decided. I
Yeah,
think maybe she was
you
watching the
have completely
conference
different answers now,
and
right?
and decided to
Answers have been
clarify, which
completely
is good.
different.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know who looked at this tweet, but thank you.
Okay. Can my family travel on the September 28, 2025 with H4 visas?
Yes,
Can you do
H4
that?
visa is not affected by the proclamation unless, it is somehow intertwined with the H1, like Santosh said earlier. If the H1, is not in status, then H4 also will not be able to travel. But otherwise, if all things are fine and it just follows the law, and H4 will be able to travel.
Okay. To
Shouldn't be a
the attorney Santosh, what are the negative consequences on the US? So because of the proclamation.
Well, we'll be losing all the talent pool, right? So that's will be a brain drain, right? There'll be other countries who will be attracting all the high-tech workers from India, and they will probably be more successful. But I don't think this is going to last for long, though, right? The proclamation on Nadar, I don't think it will get extended. It may not even go into effect. Because
So
now
it seems like that from the timing. It seems like that, right? The last line in the tweet is
maybe it could be.
The last line in the tweet she writes is will be in effect only for next cap. The last line. So, and then the question also, I know, and the question also arises: why do a proclamation and not an executive order? Vijay, is there any light you can shed on that? Why do a proclamation and not do an executive order?
I think he's relying.
Does this mean that there was no serious intention of passing this law and it just was meant as a press release? Or
if I could speculate, I think it would be solely for the next election cycle, midterms. So just to say that he passed something, because the executive order is going to take into effect, right? And the statute he's relying on gives him authority to do this in a quick fashion rather than a well thought out executive order. The executive order is going to give immediate guidance to the USCIS and DHS, right? Whereas this is a generalized statement that he wants his agencies to follow.
Makes sense. Yeah.
That's Prashant, you mentioned thing. This last sentence of the tweet almost makes the entire proclamation as null and void, right? Because this proclamation is only for 1 year, and the tweet is saying it's not effective until the next cycle, which starts in October. So I'm just very confusing.
Yeah. So that's why I'm just, this whole tweet doesn't make sense because of this. And it seems to be not thought out. And, we see messages that are not thought out coming out. And, so I just want to wait and make sure we get, an official version if that is possible.
And Attorney Vijay, for example, if the tweet that has been made by the press secretary is true, so is there any possibility we can still file the case against this proclamation? Can we get the election?
I think we're going to have an issue, right? So we can certainly file litigation. Whether we're going to have standing or not is going to be the question, which I know Prashanti had mentioned. Potentially, if you're going to be filing next year, you can say, hey, it's going to affect me next year. Let me file it now. But the ultimate question is going to be, are we going to get a temporary restraining order? Because you need to have immediate harm. There's no immediate harm if it's going to be in 2026, right? So I don't know if we're going to see any immediate actions. We'll have to see if there's any stoppage at any of the port of entries, if they're denying someone tomorrow or the day after. If there are, then I think we'll definitely see some litigation. And part of that litigation is going to be using that Twitter tweet that shows that, hey, your own administration said this, we relied on that. So I think that argument would be made to at least get a temporary restraining order tomorrow or the day after. But right now, I think the tweet helps, and I'm assuming the administration of this policy is going to be based on that tweet. But who knows? As Prashant said, we have to wait and see in the next couple of days what happens.
I guess we should wait for USCIS to
Yeah, either
actually
DHS or
send an
USCIS
official,
to
or DHS to
right
send an
some
official
guidance.
clarification on it. I think, yeah, I
Yeah.
think we should all wait for that.
Yeah. Okay. Attorney Santosh, how does this affect existing the H1B visa holders trying to switch jobs? Also, what if the candidate is traveling outside of the US for the marriage in the coming months? How does this affect the H4 visas?
It does not affect any one of these three category people. So it doesn't affect those who are currently in the US on H1Bs. It does not affect H4 individuals, and it does not affect people who are traveling. He should be okay with travel. There is no restriction for him.
Okay. And one more question. I'm currently in India and traveling to the United States on September 21st, 2025. I have a valid H1B visa that was stamped before September 21st, 2025 as a part of H1B extension with my same employer, where I have been employed since 2022. With the new proclamation requiring the 100K, do my employer need to pay the money?
No, your employer does not need to pay that money. So you're free to enter back into the country.
Yeah, I think so we can
Sai,
contact this person.
Sai, I think we can avoid those questions now because as we are into the different track now,
Okay.
because none of those are going to be anyhow going to affect, right? So is
Yeah.
there any other
Yeah.
specific questions you can look into that? And if not, the similar questions, I think it's not going to impact for any H1B holders or traveling or anything, right? H4s, there's no panic because this only proclamation applies for the next cap.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
that's the assumption, yeah, I guess.
He kept us. The only thing that he did is he kept us busy for one almost.
Yeah, he just ruined our weekend. But
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm happy. I mean, don't get me wrong, but that it is not as bad as it sounded, and I hope it continues not to be as bad because I'm still skeptical about this tweet. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah, until we see some guidance from DHS, I would rely on
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a general question. Like my son is 18 years old on the H4 visa, going to the college. When he should convert to the F1 visa, once he converted, can he work part time?
Well, before he can start working part time, he needs to be on F1 visa, right? Because on H4 he is not allowed to work. So whenever he wants to apply for a CPT or anything like that, or work on campus, they need to apply for a change of status to F1, and then only he can work on campus.
Okay. And Attorney Prashanti, and so there's a lot of confusion right now with respect to the proclamation and also with respect to the trade. I'm already in India with a stamping date on September 25th. Is it safe to proceed to stamping or postpone it?
I'm already in India. Yeah, I even after this tweet, I would wait. I don't know when is the date of the interview.
September 25th.
Oh, coming up. I would
Yeah.
say that if you're allowed to reschedule your interview once and get a reasonable date. If you've already rescheduled it once, then you reschedule it. You may not get a date for some time. So something to think about. But based on the tweet, again, you're not affected. But I would wait for tomorrow, day after, see if there is further news on this. And if you don't find anything that is negative in any way, then go ahead for your interview. As of now, it seems, based on the information that we have, that you shouldn't have a problem.
Yeah. So Attorney Santosh, so what are the challenges with the new rule in the coming years for the H1B individuals?
Good. So number one, first challenge would be that they'll have to get paid much higher wages, and people who have done masters and without experience, they may not be able to fill in this like high level, high wage level position. So they will have an issue getting through the lottery process. The second thing is even if they are able to get to the lottery process, right, their employer has to pay an additional $100,000 for them to be able to get a visa and then re-enter into the country. So these two will affect them drastically, but I don't think this will going to affect if the market conditions change from between now and then.
Okay.
Sorry, I think some of the questions are getting repeated, and
Yeah.
with this new thing, do we want to wrap up in 5 minutes or so? If you see some questions that are different, please go ahead. Otherwise, we we can wrap up in 5 minutes or so.
I think there's a general questions there are with respect to the F1 students. I'm on the STEM OPT. Do I need to return to the US immediately? Attorney Santosh.
Not necessarily. Again, if I recommend that if anyone who is on F1, just try to come back within 1 month. In that way, they are safer, especially if they are on OPT. But this proclamation does not affect their status. Or yeah.
Okay. So can I go on a cruise tomorrow to Bahamas?
Is that my question? That has to be my question. Santosh, I think we should take a cruise now.
Yeah. I think
I think Attorney Santosh.
We need a cruise after yesterday and today.
It's been crazy since yesterday, like last night. Like last night I was awake until like, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead. I don't know if it's...
Yeah, Santosh, this is Satish. So I know the president gave a proclamation yesterday, and is it they can give the clarification during a tweet? I mean, can they officially release clarification through their the White House instead of a tweet? So I mean, basically, you are just completely opposite what the proclamation is, what he signed, right?
Yeah. So anything could happen under this administration, technically speaking, right? The same thing happened with students' issues also.
Okay.
I think we'll have to just trust whatever they provide online on their website or during in their tweets. But technically, for these things, this is not something that's actually issued as a part of proclamation. I've never seen anyone doing this. I can assume that it could be an executive order going through the process and everything, but this is the first time that we have seen any president issuing a proclamation order that affects so many people. Right?
So I think, the question, I guess, Santosh, is can we just ignore the tweet and based on the proclamation, then will people file lawsuits for TRO just to be safe? Because we can't depend on one tweet, right? Because they may backtrack on it tomorrow. So should we anyway go ahead and ask for a TRO?
Unless they start implementing it. Implementing it.
Right, if they implement it, of course, then that's the basis.
So here they will not even implement it. If they don't implement it, there's no standing, we cannot file anything.
Then there's no standing to do it. But they might decide to do it. It's like something hanging on your head, right?
Yeah.
Like an axe hanging on your head, and so you want to get rid of it as soon as possible. So maybe somebody will file a TRO anyway based on the proclamation and then they can in court then give an explanation as to what it means if they don't otherwise.
But I think they will argue against the standing, right? Because there is no harm that has developed. So I think.
But at least we'll know what they mean by it, and it'll be official then, right?
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
Okay. So one more question is from the students. I'm a fall 2025 Masters in Tech student. So what are the precautions do I need to take with the current administration? The rules and regulations?
Is this for me?
Is that for me or Santosh?
Santosh, sorry.
Okay. So first thing, just make sure you don't drop off your courses. Try to maintain your service. Do not work without authorization. Do not get involved in any activities, right? Any criminal activities, and just complete your course and then apply for OPT. But definitely, yes, if this proclamation stands as is, then it could have an impact on you being able to get a H1-B in future, right? Not only this, once the new F1 regulations go into effect, yes, it'll probably have enough, like you may have to file multiple extensions of your status, and then also you may not be able to enroll into second master's program in case if you don't go through, if your case doesn't get picked up in lottery.
Okay. And so we're going to take last two more questions. So to Attorney Prashanti, I was on the H1-B. I have been laid off, changed to B2, which has been approved. Can I change back to the H1-B? Will this new rule apply to me when I'm in the United States?
No, you've previously been on a H1 and you're in the US, so it doesn't apply to you. You can file for a change of status from a B2 to H1 once you get a job.
Okay, his B2 has been approved.
Yeah, so you can file for a change of status from an approved B2 to a H1 once you get a job.
Okay. Attorney Vijay, so the last question to you. What can we expect after the 12-month period?
Well, I think it depends if they extend it, right? If they don't extend it, from what I hear from the two immigration attorneys we have here, no harm, no foul. But if they do extend it, I think there's going to be quite a bit of litigation to challenge it. Temporary restraining orders immediately, and then soon after, potentially on the merits of the case.
Yeah. So these are all the questions we have. Like, so can we have the ending note from Attorney Santosh first?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Prashanti and Vijay for joining this seminar, and ATA team, Jayant Garu, Satish Garu, Anil Garu, for arranging this session. And Sai, you did a good job on this. Thank you, ATA, for arranging this session.
And Attorney Prashanti.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Santosh, for sharing, for including me in the panel. Thank you, Jay Garu, last minute. I texted you and you responded immediately. Thank you very much. And, ATA is always, has a special place in my heart. I've been involved with it for many, many years now. And so it's great that they're able to do these kind of community programs. And I know a lot of people joined today, and we were trying to alleviate, at least we hopefully we alleviated at least some amount of anxiety, and we were lucky enough to get a tweet in between. So all in all, it ended in a positive note. But thank you again, Ata, for organizing these important webinars like you always do. Whenever there's a crisis, they're always there.
That is true.
Yeah. Attorney Vijay.
Sure. Thank you again for everyone attending the session, and thank you for the audit leadership to allowing us to put on this session. And I think they're the spearhead of the information for our Telugu community. So I think moving forward, I anticipate a lot more sessions and more information to the rest of you. Thank you again.
Yeah. So I request Jayant Chellagaru to give the end note.
Again, I think everyone echoed. This has been a great conversation, great webinar. Questions were answered, in multiple, there were questions on F1, H1, L1. So a lot of those things. I really thank you and appreciate all the attorneys, Santosh and Prashanti and Vijay. So just my commitment, ATA's commitment to the community is we are always in the forefront of any issues impacting the community, and we will serve the community to the best of our ability. And thank you, Naveen, camera person, and Sai for moderating this.
Thank you, sir. Can we close the session?